Foley, welcome to Beyond.
How you doing, man? I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
Blessings and waves, man.
Yeah.
We're out here in beautiful Orange County. So.
And by the way, happy birthday.
Yes.
You were working on your birthday.
You got to work on the birthday, man. You know, there's no rest to the weary.
Yeah. So I like it. Blessings and waves. So you've been on this incredible odyssey of discovery with music as a key communication vehicle, and have come together to create the Orange Collective with NBL Zamir and Wim the musician.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that.
Man,
that
it's
creation.
been about I want to say that video was 2018. Yeah, 2018. It's been about 3 years, and it started out with an idea. I felt like Orange County didn't have like an anthem, a song to showcase Orange County culture, and so my best friend Matt at the time at Cal State Fullerton, we came up with this idea called the Orange Collective. Was going to bring creatives like yourself and artists, entrepreneurs, all that together to make a big conglomerate empire. So I brought all these people together to the table at Denny's by Cal State Fullerton. Everyone hated the idea. They're like, nope, you're trying to absorb us, you're a band, we're this, we're that. So that went on the shelf, and we started my company called Classic Gentlemen with Matt and Dee. And so from there, I started to connect with NBL Zamir at Cal State Fullerton, had an hour conversation, never met the guy. I was just like, hey man, we're gonna work together in the future. And then I heard about Wim the musician. He was a cool artist out in Orange County scene. And from there, we had a couple other artists, as you could see, within the fabric of time that were inside the video, inside the collective. And it became something. So we had a meeting in Santa Ana at this place called Unlocked Studios or something like that. And about 4 people said yes, they loved the idea. So we went along, and I showcased a course. So I was working out, and I made that course. I popped up with the juice, and so we went playing out, and then I was like, okay, this could be it. So I showed them 2 different variations of it because I wrote something else, and they're like, that's the one. So we did that one, and it just went crazy.
Was this one in 2018, the
yes,
video?
Yes.
What's the name of it?
Juice Sound.
Juice Sound. We're going to play a clip right now.
I'm on the south side of the OC where they serve ties and the ride start with letter B's.
I popped in with that juice sound. Bass booming, yeah, it's playing loud. This with all my people from the town. Sun up, but we still down. Tell me what you really about. Cowabunga when that surf's out. Cowabunga with that surf's out. I popped up with that juice sound. Bass booming, yeah, it's playing loud. It's all my people that's from the town. Sun up, but we still down.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So take us back a little bit. Where did your passion for music get its roots?
The church, man. The church. Mom and Dad, thank you, Willie Holmes Sr. and my mom. I started out playing the drums at 3 years old, and my dad was always in music. He played the piano, had a big choir. You know, if the Kanye West choirs, my dad had those choirs like when he was young, my age.
Like I saw Kanye West on James Corden.
Yeah.
On the plane.
Yeah.
With this whole choir.
Yeah. He had that going on, and so it was kind of like meant to be. But then me and my brother. Kyle, he started a rap group, and then it became a band. I had a band called Authentic People, supplying originality, and from there, it just was like, okay, we're getting it. We like church stuff, but we also like kind of like cultural stuff. How do we like do it? So it became like a roots type band, and then as bands do, a band broke apart or whatever. But I always had this passion about Orange County, and bringing it, putting it on the map, and then, so I was always in business and always connecting with people and stuff like that. And so I left music for a while because I was like, my business partner said, you don't have a platform. So there's no reason to keep doing it until you build a platform. So we built the platform, branded my page the way it is as just a connoisseur of culture in Orange County. And then I was like, okay, now it's time to go back to music.
Got it. And this is with the Orange Collective.
Yes.
When you had that plan. But Let's go back though from that. You obviously your parents planted a pretty strong belief in God.
Yeah.
The church had a big impression upon you at a young age.
Yeah, man.
But then at some point you decided to go step out and form a band. Now my question is, having been in the church a while,
Right.
there's a lot of dogma, a lot of values, a lot of morals, a lot of rules. If you
Yes,
will.
of course.
And then you go out into the secular
The
world
secular
and start
guy.
singing.
Right.
What was that?
Oh my
dynamic
God!
tension
If you
like?
want to, that's what I was going to say. My dad hated the idea of
Yeah.
rapping. He wanted me to actually. At that time, I used to like theatrical mime dance, which was like it's like a like a mime from like France or whatever to gospel songs. So he wanted to do that because that was working. We were going to like big Hollywood events, Hollywood shows, and I was like, man, I really want to do music, but I want to talk about God, but I want to talk about relationships, societal situations, politics situations, and he disliked it. He disliked it until he saw Juice Sound at Time Nightclub. I finally got the clap. My dad's like a mix of T.D. Jakes and Steve Jobs. You know what I mean? And my mom's like, oh, if you want to do it, God's with you, go ahead and do it. But my dad's like, hey, this has to equal this has to equal that. So, he's been a big pusher and a supporter all the way through. I also sang in high school. I was at Fullerton High School as part of the Academy of the Arts.
Okay.
I was in jazz choir. I was in men's chorus. I sang a lot of opera. I was in a lot of plays. So it's like it's been always there, but I always wanted to take it to the next level in whatever capacity that I was
So
in.
how do you think about people like Billie Eilish or Justin Bieber, where, obviously have talent which attracts people. There's a lot of artists that are trying to get discovered. So what is that recipe for success? What separates Billie Eilish, Justin Bieber from other people that are trying to come on the scene?
I really think it's knowing who you are and not being worried about the likes or the followers or the clap or viral factor that everybody wants to have, the first video to go viral. It really is having that, I think to bring up Bieber, having that faith, because faith's what brought Bieber back, faith and love. You know what I mean? And we didn't know he was even going to give us an album, but having that faith and love and believing and the right team around you as well to furnish the environment for creativity is a great recipe. But everyone's recipe is different. But I notice in my life it's been the people around me and having the faith and prayer. Most importantly, that's what's got me through.
It's funny with Justin Bieber, he has a new album out, Intentions.
Yeah.
And really is in the setting of the underprivileged, the disadvantaged, the homeless, the single mom, the struggle.
Yeah.
And it was interesting as an artist to see him use his platform to shade, or not shade, but to provide some luminosity towards the issue.
Yeah, that's interesting because it's crazy because you're bringing up something that I wanted we haven't even talked about yet. Was on the album we did a song called Good Energy, which deals with suicidal thoughts, low self-esteem, and health issues, mental health issues. And we wanted to do something like that in Laguna, Newport, Huntington Beach, something like an Intentions or like a God's Plan, because nobody's done that yet in Orange County, a big societal day of kindness all throughout Orange County. And I think it's important, especially when you have a platform like we do, to do that, because it brings more, I feel it makes you more mercurial and more viable for the people that's like, hey, I'm never gonna get that. I'm never gonna see that. But for that moment or the second that they're on that film with Bieber, you can tell that it's genuine. And I think that's what people are looking for nowadays, genuine people.
Yeah, authenticity. When you're in that environment, you can't help but be infected. If you're Bieber or anybody else is on that shoot, I'm sure there was, he goes back to nice lifestyle, right?
Of course.
But I got to believe he's walk away going, but for the grace of God go I, because I could have been dead without Hailey Bieber and what he was going through.
The mono and him going through low self-esteem and suicidal thought. You would not think artists, and that's the other thing, artists creatives as we are, go through the most battles. And it's like we're the superheroes on the front lines of culture.
Yeah.
And without us battling for people to get through their work or their church life or their school life or their relational life, they wouldn't be able to get through. So it's thank God we have people like ourselves on the front lines, but unfortunately that starts to bear down on you, especially with Bieber or people like that's been growing up in it. That's why they need the most support.
Yeah, I can't imagine at 13 hitting that big and what goes on in that process and keeping your sanity, or at least connected to the real world.
Yeah.
Because now it's all on
reality.
reality.
That's crazy that you said that, because that's kind of what happened to me personally. I was doing a lot of club promotions, 2017, post 2018, and I was just like, someone sat me down. They're like, "You're doing a great job. People know you, you know." But I started to get addicted to the applause. You know, you're the guy. You know, you're going to be with a celebrity, this and that. And someone said, "Is this you? Like, are you sure this is you?" And I had to sit back, and I'm like, you know what? This isn't me. I'm not a promoter. I'm a connector.
Right.
You know, like I'm connecting you with you right now, more than an artist or anything else. That is my superpower.
Right.
You know. So.
Yeah, no, that's important. It's important to know who you are and not lose yourself in the fame, the adulation, the money, or whatever.
God, it happens so fast.
Yeah.
It really does. You know what I mean? Especially when people see you in these type of settings or outside other settings, and you start to believe your own hype. And I think it was something dope that Will Smith said is you got to be willing to like kill the character that you supposedly built to somehow get back to who you're supposed to be. And I was just like, wow, that's true. That's what happens to all of us.
Because most people in the real world going day to day, you know, it's like if someone drives up in a Maserati, Lamborghini, or Bentley, that's interesting, and you look at it, and the person in the Bentley thinks, hey, everybody's looking at me because I'm the man. But in reality, people are struggling with their plight and their struggle. They may look at it for a split second, and then you're washed out of their brain because they're worried about how am I going to make the payments?
I'm going to eat.
How am I going to
Survival.
Eat? Can I make the house payment? Can I afford whatever they're going on in their world? They're not thinking about that lifestyle and what that represents and adulating that person. It's like a sort of a snapshot, and then they move on into their challenges.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people in my Instagram, especially because I do different kind of inspirational posts in my story. Like I've been making my Instagram less about me and more about inspiration, especially in the stories. People wanting prayer because they're going through suicidal thoughts, or they're like thinking like your life's so good, and I tell them, hey, this is what's going on really in my life, and just sharing with them, it really gives them more validity, sometimes even more than a song or a record could ever do. Just a simple conversation or a simple just inspirational quote, like you said, can bring someone else further than the moment that I might create for that 3 minutes, the moment when we might create for like 3 minutes or so.
Yeah, the personal touch, that connection. I think I read somewhere like 1 out of 4 Americans are just abjectly alone, even in relationships. Yeah. And I also read another study where the happiest people that live the longest have truly loving relationships. There's people in their lives that are non-judgmental, that are supportive, that are loving, that are not drama. And I thought that was interesting. It was a TED Talk.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because MBL Zamir, his thing is nothing but love. Yeah. And we're big advocates of that and self-love. A lot of people are dealing with a lot of just self-love issues where it's like, hey, you're worried about everybody else, but now it's time to worry about you.
Well, I think society puts expectations, and this is how you're supposed to be, and success looks like this. And when you, for some people, attain that, the ladder ends up against the wrong wall because it didn't mean what they thought it would mean. Yeah. But we have this whole culture with social media and what people think fame is and what it's going to bring them, that it's a complete disappointment. Or if they never hit that mark, they feel disappointed. And I always tell people, and I've said this many times in the show, that to me it's you got to reset the expectations. Yeah. It's like we have a blueprint for success that our parents gave us, and we don't hit that mark, we get what? Depressed, stressed, and kind of out of our minds. And I think sometimes you just have to reset the blueprint. It's like Fallujah, Iraq, when we had a lot of troops go in there and they got slaughtered. The idea of keep going back there again and again, you would say the commanders are crazy. Yeah. You avoid it, or you change the strategy. So changing the roadmap. And the other thing I found that was really effective was the meaning we give things. Why are people depressed? Why do they have those thoughts? Because they've given some aspect of their life or an event, a breakup of a relationship or whatever, a certain meaning behind it. And I always ask the question and challenge it, well, who says it means that?
Who says it means that?
Who knows what it means?
1,000%. There's so many possibilities, and when you,
exactly.
I like what you brought up because this is such a great conversation to have. Reprogramming is everything in this season because that's what we've been talking about. Reprogramming our words, reprogramming how we think, because it's like, deprogramming, and then you have to reprogram what you're saying right now because society does not give these certain codes out to the masses. It's like it's like when you have somebody like you. It's like was that the Plato, the allegory of the cave, and you got Plato, and you got the person that's like down there, and it's like whatever. How can you get him out? You need to deprogram so you can reprogram yourself to even survive. There's a lot of things that we were taught as kids that was meant to protect us, but as you grow up, it just was not the reality of the situation. You know, it was a deal. It was to make you fear, and when you should be in a spirit of faith.
Right.
And so I think it's important, like you're saying, you've got to get out of the matrix.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a lot of programming that really appeals to our ape brain. I call it the monkey brain.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the deep thinking brain. It's the reality. That's why Instagram's so famous, right? I can see a picture. It gives me an emotion. It's like a shot of
The
adrenaline. A dopamine, right? Versus the higher level thinking of like, why am I looking at the world this way? What does this really mean? And every piece of information we're getting, inbound through social media, through the media, to a large extent, is programming.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And somehow you got to have someone come through like an ice cutter, like a ship that goes through the ice, and sort of break it up and get some perspective. Because I think people that are suicidal are in a serious way. They're really, really struggling.
They are.
But it all comes down to how are you looking at your life?
Yeah.
What is success? Is it 40 million in the bank, or is it just being happy with really loving relationships? And I'd say to anybody who doesn't have those relationships that are loving, that are destructive, that are controlling, you got to take a look at that and find those people that can give you what you need, as opposed to I'm going to stay in a controlled relationship, or even with family, stay in a dynamic that isn't healthy.
Yeah. No, I think what you're getting to is ultimately just being grateful for where you're at. Like that's something I had to, coming up on 29, almost 30. It's like, man, like, yeah, I could be in competition with, in my mind, I'm not in competition with anybody in Orange County. I'm in competition with the guys like in Silicon Valley. You know what I mean? The guys that have the trust funds and they have the tech companies. But it's like really being grateful for like, hey, my parents brought me to Orange County. This opportunity to be in this interview right here. That's the blessing. That's the opportunity. That's the gratefulness that people need to see, just to wake up. Some people didn't even wake up this morning, and I think that's what you're saying is powerful. It's so simple, but people skip over it because that goes back to what I was saying. We're too busy scrolling up at other people's lives.
We're in our heads.
Yeah.
I always the other thing I think I'm a big believer is we got to think in terms of cosmic time, right?
Yeah.
So you look at the universe, almost 14 million years ago, the Big Bang. If you look at life in terms of cosmic time, I mean, it's not even an angstrom, it's not even a drop. It's like infinitesimal, right?
Right.
But if you think about, I think, again, going back to people with depression, if they could appreciate what came together to make their form and their being in a cosmic sense, in cosmic time, as we're flying through outer space in this ball, this rock called Earth, right? If you look at it from that perspective, you're an absolute miracle.
Yeah.
And we get caught up in what? If you put yourself on the International Space Station, right? And you start flying over the Earth at 17,000 miles an hour. By the way, the sun rises and sets every 40 minutes.
Right.
And you start flying over parts of the Earth that you couldn't step foot in because the politics.
Right.
You realize that we're all kind of the same. We're all people wanting the same things.
Yeah.
But we're controlled, and there's a lot of good and evil out there.
Yeah.
But if somehow we could think of things differently.
Yeah, I think going back, I think like I love what you're saying because it goes back to you as an individual are a human being, and what at the end of your journey or at the end of your life does you leave culture. And it doesn't mean you have to be the most famous individual or the most smartest. It's just what did you leave your space, your dash that you had during that time. And like
Well said.
if you don't think of it in those terms, then it's like, of course every day is horrible. Of course it's your parents' fault. Of course it's your girlfriend, boyfriend's, everyone else's fault. Instead of looking in the mirror and being like, how can I make this better each day? It's just about becoming a better version of you.
Yeah. It's funny, we were talking about this earlier, but rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. But that's a prime example. The man had everything. Multi-millionaire, right?
600 million.
600 million. And how much is Kobe worth? Zero, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting how quickly things can change.
Yeah.
And so the pursuits, I think if they're predicated on what speaks to your higher conscience, like what speaks to who you really are, assuming you know who that is. Because that's part of the journey, is trying to figure yourself out.
That's a
right?
big part right there. A lot of people are walking around Earth, and even I know they don't even know who they are. So they're constantly trying to make a variation of themselves that they were never really intended to be.
And believe me, all the marketers love that.
Right.
So confused,
Right.
so you buy all their products.
Right. And so it becomes a different type of narrative.
Yeah.
Instead of the one that they want to do. Like I said, I love these type of conversations.
No, but I mean, Kobe's a prime example. Is like, what do you invest in your life in? And talk about an identity crisis. Let's say you don't die, but you lose everything. If your identity's built on the foundation of success, money, whatever, you just had an identity crisis. Who are you, right?
Yeah.
So somehow it's got to be built on something a little more solid.
Yeah, and I always tell people there's millions of things for you to put your faith in. And you have to find that, whatever that is for you.
Right.
Put your faith in something in that course, because you'll never lose it. I don't care what happens, what you lose, coming from a person who has, lost his uncle. I just lost my grandfather. His birthday was yesterday, actually. And just kind of sitting back at the church, because they honored me. And I was just like, man, like, he was well off too. And it's like, man, what is a millisecond, even for Kobe? How much does that cost to like have their life back? It's priceless.
It is. So let me go back. In 2018, you wanted to do a song to bring the country together called Juice Sound, and form the Orange County Collective, which we've been talking about. What specifically did you see in the country that was creating this division?
I think that's crazy, because even you bringing that up, it was for the county, but I didn't even think about the country. That's dope. Unity. It's in a space where there's a lot of divisiveness right now. I mean, you look at the Orange Collective in that video. You got an Asian guy, you got a black guy, you got I think it's Islamic guy, you got a half white, half black guy. That is the future. That's what you're going to be looking at, and I think Orange County is very reminiscent of that in different parts. And I just think to see it all in a space where in hip hop, where you might think it's going to look this way, to switch it up on everyone and make it look this way, that you can still have fun and still be hip and cool, and not have to appeal to the masses, not have to degrade women, not have to show any of those type of things. I think that was a shift in the narrative. You know what I mean? That you just don't see. But I would say it was the unity factor the most. And I think it's something I always talk about with the guys is, I'm my brother, my brother's me. That no matter what socioeconomic background, no matter where you're from, you can always have a seat at the table or make your own table.
Right. I think people that create division is just highly insecure.
Yeah, it's
they
fair.
want control, and they get
It's fair.
insecurity, and it's fear. And I don't know. I look at the politics, and sometimes I go there. What's going on there? And ultimately, to me, it's a form of control.
Yeah.
Somebody in media wants to control a narrative, wants to control an outcome. And if you have to divide and conquer to do it, then that's the price they're willing to pay.
They're willing to pay, yeah.
But in reality, as I've come across people, no matter what the political persuasion is, sexual orientation, doesn't matter. There's still people that want the basics. They want love. They want respect. They want certainty. They want to know the world's not going to come crashing down on them. That's what I've seen.
And they want to know that they're loved and that they're needed.
100%.
And that's what I saw in those guys is, especially with guys, you don't usually see in that. It's crazy, even looking in retrospect about it now, you never see groups like that too much anymore, because everyone needs to be the guy, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think the narrative of inclusion and the spirit of collaboration, coming back, even this conversation is a collaboration of us talking back and forth, not so much an interview, at least what I felt, is needed back in society, is needed in this culture. You know
100%.
what I mean? You had, what was that, Teddy Roosevelt, and he put all those programs together, and that was collaboration at its finest for people to have jobs at that time.
Right.
Which is beautiful,
It's important. As I was watching Zion Williamson play, and he's phenomenal, right?
Yeah, he's amazing.
Pelicans, and anytime they ask him a question, he goes right back to the team. The team put me in the right spot. They saw where I was at. They got the ball to me, but it's all about the team. Yeah. And it's about regarding Rookie of the Year, he's like, I'd like to get it, but to me it's about winning games, and I'll do whatever I need to do to win the games and help the team. Yeah. Kind of like what you're saying, as opposed to being the guy, just help the team win.
Just help the team
win.
win.
I think in doing that, you'll become the guy because people will see your talents and your vision and your gifts. Yeah. And sometimes that's in a supportive role, and that's not bad.
Yeah, and I think that's I always like to say is everyone is the captain or boss, so to speak, of their space. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without Zamir. Win wouldn't be able to do what he does without Zamir. It's all like you said, a team sport. If you lose the championship, you all lose the championship. Like you said, if you get a ring, we all get rings together. So
right on.
It's they've been so supportive, and all the platforms. A lot of platforms in Orange County have just rallied to see my vision, and see it come to life as we're sitting over here. And I wouldn't have thought, that I'd be here three years ago. I knew I'd be somewhere, but hindsight, you never know.
That's right.
Yeah.
So as a musician, I've watched Billie Eilish and a number of entertainers, and I watch them as they sing, and I'm really focused on the audience and seeing their reaction. Right. Walk us through, in your experience as a musician, How does music affect people and bring people together?
I think it's really cool that you said that, because having a lot of performances that we've had, it can make people happy, make people mad, make people sad. It can draw them in, bring them together. Something, a situation, societal situation that came together. From the Orange Collective's perspective, it's always like good energy, like smiles, hugs, love. It almost seems like hippie-esque, so to speak, but it's like, but it's over cool beats that just I feel like was kind of like from the 80s era, 80s, 90s, there was feel-good music that we're able to kind of encapsulate, which is amazing. But I would say the call and response is always amazing. Those type of moments, or when the music stops and somebody knows the record, it warms your heart, because you put literally your heart and soul into it.
And you're touching lives.
Yeah.
In probably ways you never even
Never
imagined.
imagined, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the Orange Collective, what is the main message of your vision? I mean, what is it you're trying to do with the Orange Collective in Orange
With
County?
Orange Collective, it is this. It is act local, think global. You know what I mean? And I think it's something we said in our first interview when we were on Dash. We're a group with so many different diverse talents and gifts at the same time, and diverse ourselves. So showing that, and showing that we can bring that to the main stage, just like Drake did with OVO in Canada, that Orange County can play in the big leagues as well. The culture, the people here, the government here, the media sources here can all play at the bigger scale. And you can be yourself while doing it. You don't got to play to the rules of media or other areas. Just be your most authentic self. And I think that's what we played to very, very well, and people like yourself are enjoying it. You know what I mean? When we were able to perform at OC Fashion Week, that was kind of the first like outside the club experiences, and people actually resonating with it, because you're hearing Laguna, you're hearing Huntington, you're hearing Newport. It makes you feel like home and safe.
You know, it's funny. You're also probably breaking down some of the perspectives that, or the paradigms, or the judgments people have towards Newport, Laguna, of what they represent. And until you come here, you really don't know, right?
You definitely don't know. Coming from Fullerton, like I was telling you off camera, and working in that space, and then coming to South County, because it's North County, South County, it really was a perspective shift for me. And to see how open people were, you know what I mean? People like Lido House, people like Nobu, people like Back Bay, just been so accommodating to the movement that we're essentially, which is us, Orange County. So it's been amazing to see that pendulum shift.
So as an artist, the world's a big place, and obviously you're not trying to niche yourself into a specific group of people. Obviously, the wider, the broader, the deeper, the more diverse is kind of your audience. So in terms of the audience and demographic, have you thought about who you're trying to connect with your music?
Yeah, we definitely know young people. We definitely know people that love music. We definitely know people that are like into traveling, high-end living. We're definitely people that are spiritual. There's some spiritual essence to the music too, that's like lightly niched within there. So it's a lot of, I want to say, the spheres of influence that we speak to, political, the technology, all those different types of spheres that we want to do to thus encapsulate the world.
Yeah.
Basically save the world as much as possible through music,
Right.
That's what you want to do.
Give people hope.
Yeah, give people hope.
So in writing music, you tell a story that hopefully connects with the audience, right? So where do you draw your greatest inspiration for your lyrics? I mean, do you guys have writers? Or
This is okay, yeah. So
life
the writing
experience?
process, so what we'll do usually is we'll put a beat on, and then we'll sing a melody, we'll hum something, and then the words will just flow. And I think that is based upon life experience, or people we've listened to, or situations we've come across. That's really been kind of the beautifulness of the Orange Collective, is that we don't have to sit there for hours and be like, man, like we need to make and that's what we took off the table a long time ago. Stop thinking in terms of we need to make a hit or make a banger, because so many artists feel like they need to make a hit or make a banger. You just need to make something that feels good, to you, and hopefully somebody resonates with it. And it doesn't have to be for everybody. you know, just as much as people just listen. That's all.
It's a big world out there.
Yeah.
Right? It's never going to be for
There's enough
everybody.
room. It's enough room for
Yeah.
everyone to, you know, ride their wave.
So what's the vision for the Orange Collective in the next year or so?
Next year or so, we're working on another album, Good Energy, the project, the music video. I know Wim had an album that dropped. Zamir had an album that's coming. I have some video stuff that will be coming pretty soon. Some more shows and performances. Hopefully we'll do a little bit of another tour through Orange County, more interviews, especially. Hopefully we get like a festival. That would be nice. You know, we talked about that. Some type of festival. Festival's gonna be huge. All we need is one, you know, South by Southwest or a Coachella or something like that, just to put you know, Orange County in a different kind of space. And people are doing great out here, by the way. Young Pinch, who I've met recently, talks about a lot of Orange County. He's an artist from Huntington Beach. There's another guy named Fora that's doing amazing stuff. But it's crazy because we're kind of becoming the poster child for Orange County as like the next kind of hip hop guys, you know, to kind of put it out there. So
Yeah. It was, and then that video, he had some great shots of Orange County. And
yeah, Jacob,
Yeah.
shout out Jacob, the videographer, man. He brought that to life. We shot that video over, I believe, 3 or 4 days. That's a bit of a process.
it was a nice storyline kind of going into it on the call.
Yeah. That was
enjoyed.
Speak Life. That was Speak Life 310, and it was like I was like, we need to do something like Bad Boys, like esque, like Bad Boys meets Orange County, and that was the cool little phone call, little drop.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So who's been the most influential person in your life?
Oh man, this is crazy. For me, I would say my dad, Willie Holmes Sr. I would say Jesus, for those that do believe in the higher power of God, whoever you believe in. And I would say Kanye West. Ironically, I got in trouble when I was a kid for listening to College Dropout. They were like, "Oh, he's a college dropout. Blah, blah, blah. You want to do that? You want to be a college dropout?" I was like, "No. I just like the way his music sounds." And look at him now doing stuff like for church and
Got his
stuff
own
like
church,
that.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I teased my parents. I was like, "Looked like he did well, huh? He wasn't too crazy."
Yeah.
I would say those three people. And obviously. You know, the Orange Collective and the people that Matt and Dee and the people I
Surviving
work
with
with,
now.
collaborate with now, you know.
Yeah. So what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in life to this point?
Oh man, this is good. This is really good. I think more so, don't try to do everything at once. You can take your time. There's enough time in the world to do all the different things that you need to do. And anything is possible, and how you do one thing is how you do everything. So many times in life you wonder why you're not, you know, why you're not signed, or why you don't have enough money, or why you're not married, or why you're not this. You go through all these things and you just, step by step, that's all it takes. You know, just put one foot in front of the other, and that's all you need.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere that Beethoven hit it big at 96. I mean, there's a lot of people you can point out. Ray Kroc at McDonald's hit it big at 54, 55. I think he came on the idea when he was 50. So age is a relative thing.
Who's to say? You know?
And I think, you know, any setback is kind of interesting because is it really a setback, right?
Right.
Or is it God's way of working your life so you don't totally screw it
Yeah,
up?
you got to fail forward, you know.
Yeah.
And speaking of what you were talking about, I went through that season when I Cal State Fullerton, and I always try to tell people this story when I can. I was at Cal State Fullerton, and my freshman year, I've always been in school politics, president of the school, this and that. I was on ASI, and I was, you know, partying, having a good time, you know, like every good freshman does. And I was having a hard time in my math class, and so I ended up failing my math class twice, and I got put on probation, and I couldn't come back until I had passed, you know, the math class at a junior college. So I was able to do that. It took me I went to 3 or 4 different junior colleges, and this tell you the power of persistence and the power of prayer. Finally got back to Fullerton College, and I worked with this lady, and I told her, I said, "Hey, if you give me this chance, this is my last chance at life to finish out my degree." She gave me that shot. I was able to I got a C plus or B. I was able to get back into Cal State Fullerton, and it shows you things happen for a reason. I think if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have that humility, because from that point I'd not been given things, but it was like, you're gonna be the guy. You're gonna be successful, and then you have that wake up call where it's like, hey, you got to be aware.
That's some
and
adversity.
you got some adversity,
Right.
which now gives me the testimony to be able to say that right now, talking about adversity and failing forward. I fell forward hugely, so I could tell somebody else right now about it. So.
It's powerful. So, for future generations of musicians, people that are 5 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, maybe 14, maybe 20, is there any wisdom as a musician you could pass along to them?
Definitely practice makes perfect. I know as cliche as that sounds. Don't be afraid to show your talent, and put yourself in the right positioning. You know, a lot of times people say, man, I need a manager, or I need this, or I need that. It's like half the battles you showing up. What is it you miss? What is that? You miss 100% of the shots.
Shots you don't take.
You don't take.
Was that Michael Jordan?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And so it's important that you do that. Also make sure you're, I don't want to say industry ready, but just ready for where you want to go. Not fake it till you make it, but just be ready for where you want to go. That's where I try to have it now. It's like, I used to think fake it till you make it. No, just be ready for where you want to go. And that could be anywhere.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Is there anything we haven't covered
Yeah, I would say what category the music that the genre we've kind of came up with is very surf rap. It's intermixing surf culture with hip hop culture. So people, like I said, that have looked at hip hop in a certain way can see another side of the coin.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So I feel like what we're bringing to the table is really refreshing to the audience. And also on that first album, we were able to not have any cuss words. So that was really cool that we were able to encapsulate something like that to the line and be able to come up with something pretty cool and
Well, you
genuine.
potentially expand your demographic.
Right.
Right?
You know, hey, Disney, you never know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
How can they learn more about you and the Orange Collective?
Orange_Collective. You can follow us there. You can also follow me at Mayor, MAYOROFOC. You can also follow MBL Zamir at MBL Zamir. You can also follow at Wim the Musician, Wim_the musician. Yeah.
And that's WIIM.
WIIM.
Right on.
Yeah.
Mr. Foley, thanks for coming on your birthday.
Thank you for the opportunity
really
for
enjoyed the
even reaching back
conversation.
out.
Yeah, man.
Blessings
Pleasure.
and waves. Yeah.
Blessings and waves. Thanks.